We are live. Good morning. Today is March 6, 2022, and we welcome you to the New York Buddhist Church's monthly Shotsuki Hoyo memorial service streamed live on YouTube and Facebook. We will begin with quiet sitting. Please sit up straight, feet flat on the floor, calm your mind, and follow your breath. We will begin with Sambujo, the three respectful callings. Hyobyakumon, Aspiration, and the reading of the March Shotsuki Hoyo names. Today's chant is SAM-BUTSU-GE, Bodhisattva Dharmā-KARA'S verses in praise of Buddha LOKEŞVARA-RājA, Tan Nembutsu, and Ekoku merit transfer, followed by Vandana and Tisarana. Today's reading is the 6 Paramitas, which you should have gotten a handout for. Today's Gobunsho, the letters of Rennyo Shonin, is Shonin Ichiryu no Sho, chapter on the teachings of Shinran Shonin. Reverend Gary Shobo Jaskula will then share today's Dharma message, and we will close service by singing Gatha's Ondokusan I on page 218 and Nembutsu on page 169. Namu Amida Butsu.
Good morning, everyone. We respectfully welcome Amida Buddha to the Hondo Hall as we gather flowers of joy. We respectfully welcome Shakyamuni Buddha to the Hondo Hall as we scatter flowers of joy. We respectfully welcome the Buddhas of all times and places to our Hondo Hall as we scatter flowers of joy. In the presence of Amida Tathagata, the embodiment of great wisdom and compassion, we, the members and friends of the New York Buddhist Church, have gathered to observe the Shotsuki monthly memorial for the month of March 2022, in remembrance of our deceased loved ones. In reflecting on the ephemeral nature of life, which is like the lightning and morning dew, we see that in the comings and goings of everyday life, we are essentially alone, encountering the impermanence of each life. We are made to see both our self-delusion and also the contrasting light of truth that sustains us. I will now read the names of our loved ones that passed away in the month of March. Dendev Bayart. Catherine Fukuchi. Maud Hahn. Mitsuo Hasegawa. Joseph Hayden. Larry Tateake Hino. Masako Hirai. George Hiroshi Horita. Haruo Horita. Kazuko Inoue. Kazumi Ishida. Mary Ito. Mitsue Kamada. Stephen Kahn. Miyako Grace Kasuga. Teruo Teri Kasuga. Walter Kim. Robert Kitajima. Yukichi Kubo. Hidekichi Kume. Yoshio Miyamura. Chieko Kikuchi Nakagawa. Suya Nakamura. Mitsue Arita Nogami. Masatoshi Noguchi. Fuku Ochiai. Barbara Terry Okada. Isaburo Okada. Richard Allen Okada. Josephine Tringali Pascarella. Peter Poon. Yoshiko Tamura. Mutsuo Tomita. Mabel Tsufura. Tadashi Tsufura. Betty Tono Usui. Charles F. Walker. Tadayuki Yabuki. Richard Allen Yamakawa. Anne Ray Yampolsky. And these are the names of our beloved friends and family who passed away during the month of March. We hereby remember these loved ones who passed away. Let us affirm the 3 homages. Please repeat after me. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, namanda. We will chant together the SAM-BUTSU-GE, which is on page 79.
Ichiryu
Please stand for the Vandana and Tisarana.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangha for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie So. Namo Kie So. Namo Amida Butsu.
Please be seated.
Please join me in reciting the 6 Paramitas. Dana, giving. May I be generous and helpful. Shila, guidance. May I be guided by Buddhist precepts. Kshanti, tolerance. May I reward the mistakes of others with sympathy. Virya, perseverance. May I do the best in all things. Dhyana, meditation. May I reflect deeply on my life through the Buddha's teachings. Prajna, insight. May I understand the meaning of Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
The Gobunsho today is the chapter on the teaching of Shinran Shonin. What is taught in the tradition of Shinran Shonin is that the entrusting heart is essential. For when we abandon various practices and take refuge in Amida with singleness of heart, our birth in the Pure Land is settled by the Buddha through the inconceivable power of the primal vow. The state we thus attain is described as, with awakening of a single thought of entrusting, we join those who are in the stage of the truly settled. Recitation of the Nembutsu thereafter should be understood to be the Nembutsu as the expression of gratitude for the Tathagata's benevolence, for settling our birth in the Pure Land, humbly and respectfully. I'll read it in Japanese. Shonin Ichiryu no Sho. Shonin Ichiryu no gokanke no momuki wa shinji no motte honto serare so そのゆえはもろもろの造業を投げ捨てて一心に乱り奇妙すれば不可思議の眼力として仏の方より往生は事情せしめたもそのくらいを一年発起入賞上始終とも釈しその上の称名念仏った如来我が往生定めたまいし言法人の念仏と心べきなりあなかしこあなかしこWe will now have the Dharma message by Reverend Gary Shobo Jaskula, and look forward to that. And Aaron, let's go down into the Gejin during the Dharma talk, okay? Okay. So welcome, Gary.
So good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to this Shotsuki Hoyo in March. And before we start the Dharma talk, I'd like to introduce you to someone who is very important already to me, but I hope is going to be very important to you, all of you. And this is Dr. Aaron Prophet of SUNY Albany. And he is a rock star in Buddhism, and he belongs to us. And and he helps. I help him actually, but he helps me out in Albany's Buddhist Sangha every Tuesday. And he is a brilliant guy and a nice one too. And so I'd like him to say a few words spontaneously.
Thank you for everything that the New York Buddhist Church has done for me, my family. The Sangha up in Albany has really been a wonderful part of our lives for a few years now. 18 months online during COVID and several wonderful months before that and several since then. So we are loving being back in person, and if you ever want to pop by on a Tuesday evening, just check us out on Zoom, or if you're in the area, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone, once again. Palms together. Through countless kalpas and innumerable lives, we did not know the strong cause of liberation were it not for our teacher, Genku or Honin. Were it not for our teacher, Genku, this present life would also pass in vain. Namo Amida Butsu. Those are words of Shinran Shonin from the Koso Wasan, number 101, and they are addressed to his teacher, his personal teacher, Honen Shonin, who is one of the great scholars of Buddhism and teachers in Japan. Actually, Shinran regarded him as a living Buddha himself and treated him accordingly, and this is what he says. Okay, and so today, as we observe Shotsuki Memorial Service for those who passed away in March to honor the family members and friends in our community, we should note that the words above were written by Shinran Shonin about his teacher, and I hope to connect Shinran's exclamation for his teacher with those we respectfully memorialize today. But please bear with me a bit. I will not go in a linear fashion, but rather in a circular one. We'll come back to it. But keep those words in mind. Were it not for our teacher, he says Genku, but we could say Shinran, or we could say each other, or to give my plan away, those who have died before us and brought us here. The present life, this present life, would also pass in vain for us, for ordinary beings. We flounder around, but we are not floundering around. So before I go on, I want to stop and reflect on the situation in the news today. And there's a lot of horror shows going on right now. And I'm particularly thinking, as most are, about Ukraine, but also things here in our own country. It does seem like, A, there are unmitigated horrors going on that we did not foresee or should have, could not possibly have foreseen, and that people are doing things that we probably thought were not possible anymore, like conquering another country, just marching in there and taking them over. That's something that they did in history, but not in our time. And that's happening. And we have domestic tensions too. Just read the news, it's horrible. Protected groups are now being marginalized once again. Things with race troubles are worse than ever before. They're better in one sense, and if you take a long view, but also we seem to be going straight back. And who would have thought that was possible? But yes, our assumptions have all been broken up. And who's left? Well, basically just us. I can't, in other religions, there is this issue of what they call theodicy, which is, if God or whoever created the world and is good, and it's for good, and it's all good, how come all these bad things can happen? And in that kind of a system, you can torture it and explain at great length, and they do, how this is possible. But Buddhism, we don't have it. We don't have theodicy. Buddha never talked about the creation of the world or what it's for. All we know is that it's for our enlightenment. According to the Buddha, as you already know, this is really basic stuff. Horrors like the ones that we're referring to, but also the ordinary horrors like sickness, old age, death, irritability, betrayal, all kinds of things. They are caused by one thing: grasping or craving, or sometimes it's translated desire. That's the second noble truth of the Buddha. The first truth is that life is dukkha, or usually translated suffering, but also just it's the wheel is not in the joint. Everything is out of whack. Things don't happen the way we wish, and including terrible atrocities. And the reason for that is grasping or craving or clinging. The third noble truth is that there's a way out, and then there is a path to the way out. And that really is, in the end, all we're left with. It isn't a giant system. There are giant systems within Buddhism, but basically, no matter where you are, whatever regime you're under, whatever possibilities you have, whatever freedoms you have or don't have, whatever system of justice or injustice, whatever economic system you follow. Some people are materialists. Suffering is caused by the economy. That's a materialist kind of view, but whatever. All of those are valid analyses about how things work in the world. But according to Buddha, in it all, craving, the second noble truth. And it's a hard noble truth to reiterate, but I really feel at this time, when there is so much trouble, we need to think about it a lot. And how can we respond in the world we're in? And there isn't one single answer, at least from my point of view. I hope many people will become activists of various kinds, but I also hope that people will start just realizing the truth of this noble truth in our own life, as Buddha taught us. So everything is caused by craving. So then the question arises, how should we live? It's all useless anyway, right? We're all, But that isn't what Buddha says at all. And we just read, or Aaron read for us, I mean, you all said it, the way to live. Buddha teaches us the 6 paramitas. They are the way. We call that the 6 paramitas Nembutsu, the name of the Buddha in our tradition. But the 6 paramitas are the way that a Buddhist should live. And it's not necessarily a way to fix the world, though it would fix the world if everybody followed. But we know that probably won't happen. But let's just go over it once more. There's dana. You can use the handout. There's dana, which means may I be generous and helpful. So in this world of betrayal, in this world of no party can agree with another party, and everybody who says something that's in a group different than yours cannot be trusted, may I at least be generous and helpful. May I try to be generous and helpful. Shila, guidance. Sometimes this is precepts. May I be guided by the Buddhist precepts. May I do the things that Buddhists don't do, or do the things that Buddhists are supposed to do and not do the things that they're not supposed to do. It's very similar to being decent in this world. May I just not be, a twit. May I be decent to other people. And this applies to whether you are a leader of a giant Eastern European country, or president of the United States, or a candidate for that, or to being a neighbor on your street and in your own family. May we be guided by these precepts. May we be tolerant, shanti, tolerance. May I regard the mistakes, or sometimes it's called forbearance, and Reverend Cheryl gave us a superb Dharma talk a few weeks ago on that. But basically, to boil it down, may we regard the mistakes of others, may I personally, and others too, regard mistakes of others with sympathy. Why? Because I make mistakes too. Okay? Then there's virya, perseverance. May I do the best in all things, or try the best. May I be diligent. May I not just say, oh yeah, I hope for the best, but really try it out in your own life and with other people. Dhyana, meditation, is the next one. May I reflect deeply on my life through the Buddha's teachings. It doesn't mean you have to sit on the floor and do shishin and do things. It's wonderful to do all that stuff, I'm not trying to say but that at all. But paying attention is a big Buddhist virtue. Paying attention to little things, including how you are and how you come across, and try to really see when you are, in convergence with them and when you are apart from them. You'll see, you'll feel differently if you start looking. And then the last one, prajna, or insight, also called wisdom. May I understand the meaning of Namo Amida Butsu. That is the highest teaching. That's all of this that has gone before, actually, Namo Amida Butsu. So that's the program for Buddhism. People say, well, what should I do? Do this. Help others to do this. That's what we should be doing. When we have children's Dharma school, and here at New York Buddhist Church we have children of all ages. So what we teach kids is the golden chain. Okay? It's the same program. The same program. This is what we tell kids. We don't tell them, oh, it's okay. Just say the name of the Buddha and do the best you can. No, we tell them to do things or to remind them about stuff. And here's the one translation from our book. It's on page 15 if you want to read along. I am a link in Amida's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. This is what we tell little kids. What we tell little kids in that is this, the 6 paramitas. May I be generous. May I be guided by the precepts. May I regard the mistakes of others with sympathy. May I do my best in all things. May I reflect deeply on my life through the Buddha's teachings. May I understand the meaning of Namo Amida Butsu. So that's the program of Buddhism. And, when you watch the news, I don't have a television, so I don't watch the news, but we get the news, however we get it. it seems like it's so horrible, right? And you wonder, well, how can it get any worse? And I'm just telling you, I mean, I think, as a student of history, it can get a lot worse, and might, you know, and we won't have the answer, you know. I mean, there's going to be scholars, there's going to be all kinds of theories, all kinds of programs, and they're all good, all things are good. But how are we going to navigate that? And I don't have a program other than this one. I will be generous and helpful. I will be guided by the precepts. I will regard the mistakes of others with sympathy. May I do the best in all things. May I reflect deeply on my life through the Buddha's teachings. And may I understand the meaning of Namo Amida Butsu. That's what's going on now. That's what's going on now, in my opinion. Now, there's one other point that I would like to bring up just as an observation. We don't work our way through this list, or up the golden chain, or around the golden chain, or up the ladder of the Paramitas. We don't work our way up to Namo Amida Butsu. That's not how it works in our tradition. That's not what Shinran said. We already have Namo Amida Butsu. We already have the Pure Land within us when we say that name, or actually in the deeper teaching, as we hear that name, as that name comes to us. So when you hear Namo Amida Butsu or say Namo Amida Butsu, you are already in the world, at least in one side, of the 6 paramitas and the virtues of the golden chain. So they're not the end of trying this and that in life. Just as we are now, we have Namo Amida Butsu. It is open to all. None are excluded. It's a radical, radical teaching. And it contains all of this and a lot more. But we already have it. Think of it as like a seed of an oak tree. You have the seed and you have the oak tree and the dirt and everything around it and the air and the birds, all that stuff in the tree. So that's something to really think about. And then to bring it around, how do we learn these things that the golden chain and the paramitas and Shinran and Nembutsu and all that stuff? How do we learn it? How do we learn it? We learn it here. Or sometimes those of us who are watching online, sometimes you live in a place where there's no temple, so maybe you read it in a book or something like that. That's, sometimes people put that down as like Barnes and Noble Buddhism, or that kind of coffee table Buddhism, but bed table Buddhism, something like that. But no, if that's all you have, that's something. That's your raft from the other shore. That's something that's very important. Don't mock that. Don't mock that. That's something, that's your lifeline. But for those of us lucky enough to come here today or to see it online, great. That's how. And how did this place get here? Well, it's from our parents and our teachers, those that we love, those that we are remembering in today's Shotsuki Hoyo. Today we're doing the ones in March, but there are 11 other months. And there's a lot of history, a lot of love went into building this place. And that's true of not just the history of this church since 1937. It's true from the Buddhists that came over from Japan, and who then got it from their countries and got it from Korea and China and ultimately India, and it goes all the way back. We get it from them, and then we can learn all the little details, the big details. I'm trivializing it, but I don't mean to do that. There's a lot of difficult things to learn too, but that's what it is. So in our quote from the Wasan, Shinran was speaking about his teacher, and he received this transmission that after studying for years and years on Mount Hiei, and Honin also did the same. He was even more advanced than Shinran in terms of the brain matter. So it seems very cosmic when he learns Namo Amida Butsu from Shinran. Okay, and it is very cosmic. But in another way, it's not really all that far from our own lives. In another way, yeah. We're ordinary people, but when Shinran learned what he learned, he was an ordinary person too. And so that's really what the transmission of Dharma is to us. It's out there. We learn from Shinran, but where do we get Shinran? We get it from each other. And if I boiled it all down, it's that our lives are all we have. They're really all we have. The world we live in is all we have. Our countries, our economies, our histories, whatever deterministic cycles we are trapped in, whatever your economic theory or whatever it is, that's all we have. So we have to make it work for us. And inside, Namo Amida Butsu is the key. Now is all we have. Right now. Right now. So when we come up to do Oshoko, or we say Namo Amida Butsu at home, or wherever it is, we are in the present, but we also touch the eternal. Or actually, in a Shin way, we should say, the eternal is touching us. And so that is how this wasan of Shinran for Honin teaches us also about this temple and our own Dharma ancestors who built it. And so how grateful we are to hear the teachings of the Buddha, which maybe we would never have heard otherwise. How grateful we are that Shinran met Honin and learned the power of that name, Namo Amida Butsu. Otherwise, how could we, stuck in our own miasma, have ever learned it? How grateful we are for all those who brought us up, right? And I'm not talking about happy families. I know some families are unhappy. Mine was unhappy. But I'm so grateful. I'm here because of it, whatever. How grateful we are for those we honor today at Shotsuki Hoyo. They brought us to this point, and we can hear the Dharma. how grateful we are. So please place your palms together. Were it not for our great teachers, both the great teachers of the seven masters and Buddhist teachers in general, but also for the people we learn from every day, each other, our families, friends, co-workers. This present life, without them, this present life would pass us in vain, but it won't pass us in vain. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. So thank you very much for listening to Dharma Talk today.
Please join us in the Gatha today, Ondokusan, page 218. Stand if you are able.
Page 169. Please be seated. This concludes our service today, the March monthly Shotsuki Hoyo. Thank you so much, Gary, for that wonderful Dharma talk. I think it meant a lot to us during this time of conflict and kind of despair for a lot of people. We know what we have to do. And also, I'd like to thank Aaron Prophet for joining us on the altar today, and so that you can all also learn about the Albany Buddhist Sangha, which Gary and Aaron have devoted themselves to for the past couple of years. And they are also a part of the New York Buddhist Church, so sort of like a branch, right, of New York Buddhist Church in Albany. And I'd like to thank Nobuko Kodama and our wonderful tech team, David Brady and Carl Palma. And our flowers today were donated by Erdine Baljinyan in memory of her mother, Dendev Bayat. So thank you all for joining us today, and let's put our hands together in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. I just want to remind you that in a couple of weeks we have our Higan service, and that's the equinox. Also to remind us, it's a time of balance when the day and night are equal, and so during that time, we feel, Buddhists think that it's a good time to come and study and to be at the temple. Also, we'd like to appreciate your dana and your donations that you have been giving to support the New York Buddhist Church. We encourage you to do so. We can't really survive without your dana, but it's important that you are here, and this place is for you all. Also, I wanted to remind you that we do have membership here, and we have a special category for people who are under 30, to adults who are under 30. So wanted to remind you about that. You become a real full-fledged member of the New York Buddhist Church that way. So thank you all for coming today and for joining us here and online. And I'm encouraged that there's so many more people here today. So thank you all. Let's place that. I have to get it again. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo.